Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Before this video even begins, I want to apologize for the lighting. We currently don't have power, which means like no ring light, no other lights, and it's also a dreary day outside, which means no sunlight. So yeah, sorry about that. Also, wet hair, can't dry it right now. And I want to get this video filmed so that I can move on to the Heroes of Olympus and read that because I don't have a lot else to do today. So I want to just read today. So anyway, I figured despite the bad lighting and everything, I would film this video. I also have a misbehaved cat with me, so that'll be fun. So this is going to be a review of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. Just a whole series review, hopefully fairly quick. I also want to do this when I finish reading Heroes of Olympus and probably lump those two videos, so this might be both. I'm not sure, it just depends on how long each video ends up being. So we'll see what happens when I finish the next series and record those videos. But anyway, this is going to at least be a review of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Now, I don't know how this review is going to go. I should have filmed it several days ago when I finished reading the series, but I didn't. And then I read another book and I kind of got out of the spirit of Percy Jackson, I guess. And then I watched The Lightning Thief. Horrible idea. But I watched The Lightning Thief and I kind of got back into Percy Jackson and I wanted to rant about the series. So I'm going to try to not just rant in this one, but I also didn't give myself any sort of script or anything. So we'll see how it goes. I am going to try to stick to certain categories, but I don't know. I might just end up ranting all over the place. Hey, and the power's back! All right, I don't have the energy to set up the lighting though, so we're gonna stick with this, but the power is back on, which is wonderful. Anyway, Miss C, can you please not... I need to just film this before I lose the motivation. So, I'm also going to try not to give any spoilers, as always, so that's gonna be kind of difficult, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so let's just go into, I guess, what I thought about the overall plot of the series, and like I said, I'll try to stick to categories. So, here we go. I think the plot of these books is absolutely amazing. There are so many twists and turns and so many adventures. There's also this nice plot all the way through it and so many things that connect back in the last book that you didn't expect or you didn't remember even or just didn't see connecting, and then Rick Riordan makes everything connect and gives everything meaning. So I really, really love these. Of course, the overall premise of Greek gods in modern day and Greek myths in modern day that's what got me reading these books. I had a friend who told me, you would probably love these, you need to read them, and he had them all, so I got to borrow them from him and read them, and I was just blown away and captivated. I was 17, but I loved these books, even though they're middle grade. So I really think that the plot is amazing. And that's one of the biggest issues that I had with The Lightning Thief, is that even when they took elements of the plot and used them in the movie, which there's hardly anything in the movie that resembles Percy Jackson, it's really sad. I should do like a whole rant on that someday, just because I need to for myself. But anyway, I felt like there were so many missed opportunities because there are so many great things about the plot in the books, and the movie just felt very flat because they left all of that out, and when they did take elements from the plot, they twisted them around, and then they didn't make sense anymore. Like, one thing, they had to leave Grover in the underworld, but nothing really came out of that. Like, Percy just asked Zeus to bring him back when he returned the lightning bolt, so there was no point of having Grover stay in the underworld. Whereas when Rick Riordan does it and has stay, it does feel so much more impactful because it is more of a sacrifice, and I don't know, it felt so much more impactful. The movie just fell flat. But anyway, we're not talking about the movie. Anyway, I'm sorry, I will try to stick to the books, but that's still just fresh in my mind and I have so many issues with it. But anyway, yeah, so the plot of these books is just absolutely fantastic. Reading through them again was amazing because I have learned so many things since the first time I read through them, and this time I had more time to appreciate what I didn't notice before because I remembered all the big plot points. I wasn't waiting for those. I wasn't wondering what the big twists were going to be. I knew what those were. So I noticed a lot more of the little things that I didn't notice the first time. So Yeah, I think the plot of these books is just incredible. Rick Riordan is a wonderful author. I kind of have a lot more to say about the characters, so I'm going to get into the characters now and talk about that. So this is going to be very hard without giving away any spoilers, but I'm going to try to talk about the characters while keeping everything a mystery. I am also going to talk about the movie for just a second. I haven't watched Sea of Monsters yet, so I can't say anything about that. I meant to watch it last night and then lost track of time and didn't. So another place where the movie just completely fell short was the characters. Every single character that had layers to them in the books and that went through a bunch of changes and growth and had arcs and stuff like that, like every single character that was interesting just fell flat in the movies. All of them. Grover especially, because again, on my reread of these books this time, I realized that Grover, he goes through so much and so many changes, and there's so much more to him than just being this goofy, scared little satyr. Like, there is so much more to him. Maybe not in the first book. I feel like in the first book, he still does seem just kind of timid and frightened by things, but there really is so much more to him. And especially as the series went on, even in the second book, I learned so much more about Grover, and he's always been my favorite character, but he's even more of a favorite character now because I realized that there is a lot to him. Rick Riordan did a lot with Grover, and it's amazing. I love it. I love it so much. I want to talk about that right now, but I can't. I have to wait until I do character evaluations later, but he's amazing. And in the movie, he was just a very flat character. And he didn't even resemble how he is in the books. The only way that he resembled how he is in the books is that he was kind of funny sometimes. And Grover can be kind of funny in the books. But that was the only way that he resembled himself. Otherwise, he was, well, if you've seen the movies, you know, but they just completely ruined Grover, and that hurt because I love Grover and there is so much more to him. And so then to see them turn him into this flat character that's just annoying and nothing like him, has like no personality other than being obsessed with girls, apparently. Yeah, it really hurt and it made me angry because he's amazing. He's an amazing character. Same with Sally. Sally is amazing too, and we don't see her a ton in the books, and I don't feel like she really goes through a lot of growth necessarily. Maybe if I read the books again, I would think differently. But right now, I don't think she does go through a lot of growth, but she still is an amazing character. From the very beginning, you love Sally. I love her. She's amazing. This is really just becoming a comparison of the movies and of the movie and the books, but oh well. Yeah, she goes through so much, and they just ruined that in the movie as well. But okay, last time I'm talking about the movie, I promise, maybe I will eventually do a comparison between the books and the movie. Right now, I really need to stay on track. So anyway, I think the characters are great too because so many of them go through so many changes. Even Clarisse, who you kind of think is just a big bully in the first book, there's a lot more to her, and you get to see that throughout the book, throughout the series. And Luke, there's a lot to him as well. All of them are just so deep and so layered, and they grow and change, and I love it. I really, really love it so much. So the characters are another thing that make this series just incredible, absolutely amazing, because they're special characters, and they're not flat, and they're not boring. And especially reading it a second time, I saw so much more than I did the first time, and I saw so many characters grow and change, and it's really, really fun. Especially since I already was attached to them. Now it's kind of like seeing them grow up, and I didn't realize that the first time. Of course you see them grow up because they're 12 and then, 16 in the last book, so 15, 16. So you do see them grow. I just didn't see the characters themselves grow any more than, like, physically. So that was just absolutely amazing. I love the characters too. Very, very good. And so I guess I will just move into the writing now and try to move on. So moving into the writing. I still only give the writing 3 out of 5 stars because I think that Rick Riordan is not a great writer. And I've said this before, I said this about Michael Crichton. I think that Rick Riordan is an amazing author, and he can craft stories so well, and he can craft characters so well. But his writing definitely falls short. There's a lot about it that I didn't like. dialogue tags are kind of a big thing that people don't really think about, and I think that's what they're called. If that's not what they're called, please correct me in the comments, because in my head they're dialogue tags. But what I'm talking about is when you have a piece of dialogue and then you have Percy said or something, that is your dialogue tag. Whoever is talking, or how you're letting the reader know who's talking. A good way to do dialogue tags is, first of all, to not overuse them. If you only have two characters who are talking to each other, you don't need every single line to have a dialogue tag, because you know just from switching dialogue who's talking now, and often you can tell from the way a character talks as well. That is really, really good dialogue, when you can read a sentence and know who is speaking because you know how they talk. But that's a little bit more advanced. So when it comes to dialogue tags, though, if you do need to use dialogue tags, like you have four characters who are speaking interchangeably, when you use dialogue tags, you want to mix it up. You don't want to say Percy said, Annabeth said, Grover said, he said, she said all the time. You want to mix it up. So somebody replied or questioned, or just different ways to mix it up, and moving the dialogue tag as well, like to the beginning of their dialogue or in the middle. Just different things that you can do to change it up. And Rick Riordan very often just says, I said, they said, Percy said, like whatever. Not Percy, because Percy is the one talking. So he'd be like, I said this. And then Talia said this. And sometimes it works because sometimes it kind of adds to the humor. So there are times in the books when I was like, okay, that's a good place to have the repetitive dialogue tag, because it did add to the humor. But then there are other times when there's no humor and there's no reason to be repeating the dialogue tags. So that was kind of a big issue I had with the writing. Another big issue is that he doesn't vary his sentence structure very much, especially the beginning sentence structure. And you know this is a pet peeve of mine, so yeah, I did have a big issue with that. But honestly, the writing didn't keep me from reading it. It didn't take away from the story at all for me. Maybe a few instances I kind of got drawn out because I just got frustrated with the writing. But for the most part, the plot was exciting enough and I cared about the characters enough that I didn't think about the writing most of the time. So even though I can't give Rick Riordan high marks on his writing, I still think the series is amazing and worth the read. In here, I'm also going to talk about a plot hole in the books, and my headcanon about it. I think that's what it is. Headcanon is when the fans create it, right? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on this plot hole. And I didn't pick out all the plot holes in the books because I think there are definitely more. I'm just not usually very good at picking out plot holes, especially in a whole series. I don't remember how old everybody was or how old they're supposed to be or stuff like that. But this is definitely something that I noticed. So when we meet Blackjack in the second book, we don't know his name or anything. He's just a captive Pegasus, and Percy sets him free. And that's not really spoiling anything. But Percy says that Blackjack is a mare. A beautiful black Pegasus mare. And you know, like, no problem. Okay, whatever. But then Blackjack returns in the third book and is definitely not a mare. Blackjack is definitely now a stallion. And so it is kind of a big plot hole, and I was a little bit annoyed. Not annoyed. I love Blackjack, okay? Blackjack is funny. I love him. But I thought it would have been really cool if Rick Riordan had kept him as a mare. I think that could have been very cool too. But it doesn't really matter. I don't care if Rick Riordan forgot or decided later that he didn't want Blackjack to be a mare, like whatever, I don't care. But then I had this thought as I was reading this series, especially when we came to the Ophiuchorus, which I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I don't even remember how it's spelled right now. I'm just going off of how I think it's spelled. So anyway, but when we're talking about the Ophiuchorus, Percy, when he first meets this creature, thinks it's a girl. And so he names it Bessie, and for a very long time is calling it a girl until Grover speaks to the Ophiuchorus and is like, why did you name it Bessie? It's a boy. Like, its name's not Bessie and it's not a girl. And that got me thinking about Blackjack. And since Percy is narrating these books, it is very possible that Blackjack has always been a stallion. Even in the second book, when we get that 2 sentences about him, and Percy tells us that this black horse is a mare. It's very possible that even then Blackjack was supposed to be a stallion and Percy just is dumb and didn't know. So this is completely just my thinking. I didn't see this anywhere else, and I'm not saying that this is what Rick Riordan meant because I have no idea. It is very possible that he forgot, or that he originally planned for Blackjack to be a mare, and then when he started writing him decided to make him a stallion, but these are just my thoughts, and I really actually love this because we do know that Percy at least didn't know what the Ophiotaurus is. And that's kind of fair because it's half serpent, so, or half fish, I mean, sorry. So that's understandable that he couldn't tell whether it was male or female. But I just really love to think that he was not paying attention in the middle of this battle and just thought that Blackjack was a mare. That is now like my own headcanon about this. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Do you think Percy is dumb enough or just non-observant enough to have mistaken Blackjack's gender? Because I think so. That's what I'm going with. I think it's hilarious, and I feel like Percy would do that because he just maybe wasn't paying attention and was just assuming, okay, there goes this nice mare, and then you find out later, Blackjack's a stallion. But anyway, like I said, totally just my thoughts, not anything I got from anywhere, especially not from Rick Riordan. I've never seen him talk about this at all, but I think it's funny. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, or what you think about Blackjack. Those are just my thoughts, and I'm sticking with them until I hear differently from Rick Riordan because I think it's funny. Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about the writing, really. I will move into content guide now. I don't have a lot to say about content guide either, but here we go. So I really don't have a lot for a content guide here. There's no swearing, there's like, the romance is adorable. There's minimal romance and only a couple of kisses, and they're like middle grade. It's middle grade, okay? This series is pretty middle grade for the most part. Maybe on the upper side of middle grade as we get into it, because the characters, they are, 15, 16 in the last book. So maybe a little bit older, but still, there's like nothing in it that should be offensive other than the Greek gods. So if you don't like Greek mythology and you don't like thinking of the Greek gods being real, then this is not the series for you. But if you love Greek mythology like I do, or you just don't really care, you don't have an issue with pretending that the Greek gods are real for the series, then I definitely recommend it, and there should be nothing else that is troublesome, really. I mean, if you know about the Greek myths, just think about what's in the Greek myths, and if you're okay with that, you should be okay with the series, because it's all kind of dialed down. There is some stuff in the Greek myths. Really, if you know your Greek mythology, or even a little bit about it, that should tell you whether or not the series is for you. So I guess into my overall thoughts about the series. Overall thoughts is that it is amazing and definitely worth the read. I'm looking forward to reading it many times in the future. Hopefully someday to my kids. Like, I definitely want my kids to enjoy this as much as I have, and to be able to enjoy it when they're younger even, and grow with the characters more. Yeah, I definitely recommend it, and I definitely love it. It is one of my favorites, and now that I've reread it, I can stand by that claim that it is one of my favorites, because like I said, there's so much about it that is just absolutely amazing. And the characters, most of all. Honestly, I think the characters are what really surprised me the most in this book, because I didn't realize how dynamic and how deep they were the first time I read it. And this time I saw that so much. Even Nico. Nico goes through so much in these books. And I forgot that he was in the first series. So that was really fun. Anyway, very amazing series. I love it, and I'm super excited to get into the Heroes of Olympus now. So I do have the new series, and I bought this so that I could read them because I only have the last 3 books in that are secondhand. So I do have the last 3 books, and they're secondhand, and I would love to read them. But I didn't have the first 2 books, so I ordered this 10th anniversary edition so that I could read the series. And then I decided that I didn't really want to read the new books and like get creases on the spine and stuff. I wanted to keep them brand new. So I did order the first 2 books secondhand off of ABE Books, but they haven't arrived yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the first book in the new series, in the new printing or new edition, because I can't wait. Yeah, I definitely need to just get into this. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, probably. We do have power again, so I might edit a few videos or something, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to read. Let me know down below if this review has been helpful, if the review of each individual book has been helpful, because I'm planning to put those out before this, so hopefully that's what I do. Yeah, let me know what you've thought. Have you read Percy Jackson? Did you love it? If you haven't read it, are you planning to now, or is it just not for you? Because that's totally fine. Not every book is for everybody, and I understand that, but I recommend at least checking it out and seeing what you think of it. But I mean, if you watched this review and decided that you don't really care, then I guess you've checked it out and you don't care, so that's fine. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike, but please let me know in the comments what you didn't like and how I can improve in future videos. Feedback is always welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. That would be awesome. And share the videos with your friends and family. That would also be great. Anybody you know who loves reading and maybe is looking for some good book reviews, a good book review channel, because that's basically what I do. Yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, and that's all. So I hope that you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a blessed day, everyone. This way. It's gonna be this way.